we're here tonight. This is Hosanna for Youth. We're streaming live. We have our special guest with us tonight. You may say your name.
My name is Matt Johnson.
Thank
you for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad you came because when I tell them how we met, let me scoot a little bit and then you can scoot a little bit and how we end. There we go. We good?
Yep, we good.
So, Hosanna for Youth is a nonprofit organization that is bringing education, awareness, resources, and support to the community about incest, molestation, and rape. Letting everybody know it's okay to tell. And in our journey, we meet some amazing people. And the funny story, I'm going to tell the story. I got to tell the story. So, Matt and I was at an event together, okay? Didn't introduce ourselves as what we do. yeah. Now the discovery came on social media.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So for you all that downplay the social media contacts and stuff, some amazing people are on there, and you get to say hello and get into their lives and get to know them, because you never know when you'll connect with them.
I agree.
Yeah. And
lasting connections.
Lasting connections. Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna take that as a prophecy.
Yeah. There you
lasting
go.
connections. That's what we got here. We were in the same room. We was not able to introduce ourselves formally.
Nope.
And here it is, our relationship built over social media. And with our relationship building, when Hosanna for Youth launched this platform, Expose the Conversation Live, Matt was one of the persons that I thought of to come on, because what he does and who he is ties into Hosanna for Youth. And you'll realize that sometimes you're sitting right next to someone that can extend your organization or your brand a little further, or you can help them go a little further. You never know who knows who.
True.
So here we are.
All right.
Tell us about Matt.
Well, I'm Matt Johnson. Relocated here from Cleveland, Ohio, probably April of last year. Just kind of looking for a fresh start in life. I just kind of literally in 3 weeks packed up and left. I was able to transfer my job, which is with Cleveland Clinic. So, I just got tired of the comfort zone of home. So I just kind of, and I didn't tell anybody ahead of time. I told people like 1 week and bounce, because I didn't want nobody giving me bad papers or saying, hey, you need to watch out for this and that. Anytime you're trying to do something good.
Yes.
And it's the people that's closest to you.
Ooh, Matt.
You're a little hot?
Yeah. You're talking about me, but go ahead.
So it's like the people that's closest to you, like people that I'm not too close with, it was like, man, I told them easy. But I was very apprehensive about telling the people I was close with. And I'm glad I didn't, because after the fact, when people start finding out, man, what you moved down there for? It's hurricanes down there, man. It was always something petty. But I just wanted a fresh start in life. I'm a very sociable person, but after a while, I got tired of being here by myself. I wanted some familiar faces, so I invited my mom to come down and move here with me. So that was so that was a blessing. I'm single, no kids, so these are the times I needed to make these type of moves.
Okay.
So that's what brings me to Florida.
Okay. And I see you on social media in your church.
Yes.
So on that platform, I watch and I see some things, and I also noticed you wrote a book.
I did. It's called Detox, Becoming the Best Version of You. And it also says reclaiming control of your mental, emotional, and spiritual health. I guess one of the things I find about, like, especially professing Christians, is like they're one-sided. They go to church, they do all the regular religious rituals and stuff, but they forget we're more than just spiritual beings. God created us spirit, soul, and body. So you don't find too many people exercising. You don't find too many people journaling, having a healthy outlet for their emotions and their pain and stuff like that. All they told to do, hey, go to church and pray and sing. So it's like, I wrote this book. I'm a very avid journaler. I journaled a lot. Started back in 2015, which is when I started the movement. Journaling Saves Lives is my movement. So
Journaling saves lives.
It does.
It does. And I want to say something right there. We tell people with Hosanna for Youth, that's one of the spaces to get into youth is to start journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And when we had a guest that also mentioned about journaling, and I told the audience, I said, he's coming. Go ahead. Yeah.
So one of the things I find is people internalize a whole lot for the sake of, it could be a variety of things. I discuss it in my book. One of the reasons people internalize is they skeptical of other people.
Right.
They don't feel people are trustworthy. And it's almost like a catch-22 because the only reason why they mostly feel like that is because somebody has scarred them at some point in the past.
Don't we know survivors? Yeah.
And it's like, and the other reason is embarrassment. People get certain statuses and they make it big in life in certain circles, whether it's religious, business, and they scared to admit, hey, I'm stressed out, I have this going on, this has scarred me, I'm dealing with this issue later in life. So that's another reason people internalize. But I tell people, I said, technically no one can help you overcome your pain and sorrow. They can only encourage you. So they can equip you with tools, but ultimately the person themselves has to make that decision.
That decision. You said a mouthful. Go ahead.
And then also, you know, we all have people that we can trust, that we can count on, you know, the shoulder to lean on, the ear to listen to. But we don't want to always boggle people down with our own baggage. Because people are always facing their own battles anyway. Even the people you love, your mother, your brothers, your sisters, best friends, significant others, spouses. So what do you do then when you need that outlet, but you don't want to boggle somebody else down and weigh them down? Right. So that's why journaling is such a healthy tool.
Exactly.
And one of the things is, one of the things is, it may not change the situation, but it frees up mental space. Because most of the time after you write, you keep writing, if you want to cuss somebody out, if you angry about something, you thinking some very wicked thoughts, you write all of that stuff down. But what I recommend is, you know what stops people a lot of times from journaling? What if somebody find it and read it? That's where you come in at. It's your job to protect your journal. Okay. It's your job to keep it in a place that only you can access it. Okay. Because what we don't want to do is, and I don't want to attribute everything to a spiritual thing, but that's one of the things the devil tries to trick people with. He'll say, you know somebody's going to read that. So keep all that in. You know what I'm saying? And then what folks do, keep it in.
Internalize.
Yeah, there you go. And so that's what we don't want to do. So we're a preventative movement. We understand there's a need for therapists, counselors, at its advanced stage of psychiatrists and psychologists. But those that are dealing with things that can be handled in its preventative stages with journaling, having healthy outlets such as that, taking care of your other modes of life, like you're watching what you eat, watching what you listen to, watching what you watch, watch who you connect with. Yes. all of that counts. Yes. These are preventative things you can do to stop yourself from advancing to more severe bouts with, because mental illness is very broad. It's many different concepts. You have from schizophrenia, or you can be manic depression, anxiety disorders. It's different levels. So what we don't want is, if you don't already have a condition, we don't want you to develop a condition. Right. So that's where my movement comes in. We're the preventative people.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
So detox is not just for the physical self. It's for the mental self, spiritual self, emotional self. So I personally haven't had anybody tell me that all of that makes up the total being.
It does. And I'll tell you, here's the thing. Journaling helps, but only when you're using wisdom in the other parts of your life. Okay. Because if you just say someone that loves you comes and give you some wisdom, hey, you may not want to hang out with this group of people. You may not want to have these type of, behaviors or habits in life. Right. But you persist on doing it, but you're saying, hey, I need to journal. You're putting what I call false burdens. Right. You're inflicting yourself. So for journaling to work, you have to make right decisions in life. Right. You have to, and that goes back into from what you eat to who you connect yourself with, whether it's a relationship, friendship, what you allow, what you listen to, what you watch. All of this stuff affects your being. And one thing that stress actually does, and this is what I discuss in the book too, And here's the book, Detox. You can get it on Amazon. I talk about it affects your literal health.
Mm-hmm.
You can develop heart arrhythmias, heart attacks, heart failure from your gastro system. You can develop ulcers, irritable bowel syndrome, pulmonary. You can cause respiratory failure. All of this stuff can happen when you internalize stress. Or your cognitive functions. You can kill your brain cells. You know how they say that, humorously speaking, oh, don't you smoke that reefer. It's going to kill your brain cells. No, stress will.
Yeah.
And it'll kill it quick. So it's not just some hocus pocus stuff like, oh, I need to journal and get rid of the stress. No, your life depends on it literally. Because you can literally check out of here far beyond the time you're supposed to check out here if you don't manage that stress.
And see, that's why with Hosanna for Youth, while we're on this movement of It's Okay to Tell, because we run into so many people that have internalized what happened to them for years. And when I say years, you're looking at 20, 30, 40 years that they never spoke a word about what happened to them. So now, this morning when I woke up and I was looking at the news, I saw on there that, you know, they 300 priests. And they said 300 priests are, you know, these people are coming out and they told them 300 priests. And I'm like, and they like, it's 1,000 and something children over a period of time, from going back from the 70s to the 60s to the 50s. And I'm thinking in my head, that's a long time. And here we are at a place in our lives that we have more resources, more outlets, more ways to deal with situations, but we won't take part in them.
Very interesting point. One of the things I said is one of the reasons why people internalize, but it's really not a good excuse, that they may not know where to look for help. But I said in the age of mass media, from social media to magazines to TV to radio, you know where to look for help. Yeah. And you know where to get for help. And guess what? And help is attainable. It ain't about, oh, I don't have the money for this and that. No, it's free resources galore. Yes. Millions of free resources that you can, and organizations that you can connect yourself with. So that was a good point you brought up.
Yeah. And I hear it all the time. And what made me think about that is, you know, when it comes to you hearing something free, you know, they get, say for instance, like school just started. When they were having the free book bag giveaways, I mean, the lines were longer than anything. But when we say we got a free resource fair for the adults or for, you know, hardly anybody show up.
But guess what? Those are the same people that 2 weeks later say, you know what, don't nothing happen for the community. I always want some money. But you didn't bypass the 100,000 events that could have provided you with what you need for yourself.
Exactly. Like Hosanna for Youth, for instance. We have a support group that we host here at 2646 Northwest 4th Street at the end of the month on that Wednesday, the last Wednesday of every month. This room should be packed with people, you know, trying to get past that point. We'll get people in, but it's not like the line. I saw that.
And I'm going to tell you, like, it's amazing how if we go to a concert right now, people be lined up to see Beyonce and Jay-Z. But, and guess what? Not knowing they carrying that baggage of being raped and molested and all that pain with them to that concert. But when people like this provides resources, you have sprinkles of people. But then those same people will always, I'm so sorry, I'm depressed. Okay, we're trying to give you resources and ways to outlet this pain. So that's why at some point, is it really a victim mentality, or do you really enjoy staying
in that space?
In that space.
Well, you don't have to. You really don't have to, because one thing that also Hosanna for Youth, providing education and awareness and resources and support, we come together with other community partners to help get you what else you need that we may not provide. So we're not one of those agencies that's trying to do everything. We one of those. We stay in our lane. We in our lane.
Me too. Yep.
And we want to connect with other agencies so that we can help that person go further and further, because people get stuck. They get what is the? They get kind of
stagnant.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't need to. But I guess that goes back to how bad do you want to help? Because I'm going to tell you something. One of the things I did within the book, it doesn't seem like it, but some people really enjoy their pain and they sorrow. I'm going to tell you why. It seems like this is where the psych part comes in. Because it provides them an audience that they would not otherwise have. So here's the situation. You tell people, hey, I have what you need to get you out of your situation. Mm-hmm. And in an indirect way, they're saying, hey, but I done built my whole life around this dysfunction, this pain and sorrow, all my relationships, all my connections. So if I get healed and whole, now I'm going to have to change my circle, change where I go, the people I'm with. And most people find that too hard to do.
Yeah, I understand. I understand 100% because most of the time, when we get a new client that walks through the door, that's how they are. And it takes some breaking down of the shell because learning to trust and I tell them all the time, learn to live.
Gotcha. I like that.
That's a hard place because we think the way of life that we have is our living. But you can change all of that.
So do you, I often wonder, and I actually have a story about molestation as well, and I'll share that with you, but do you ever find so you just say you have two people, one person, they come from like similar experiences, things that happen to them. What do you think would make one person know, hey, I'm dealing with this pain, I know I have these certain habits and stuff I've developed over, but it's not healthy and I won't help, versus somebody to say, hey, this is normal, I'm used to it. I wonder what's the difference between those people? Like,
it's a very, very thin line. Okay? It's a very thin line. And it's more so, I'll say, from my experience, it's the choice of the mind, I think, where it's that choice. And even with myself, being a survivor, I played on both sides of that fence,
Gotcha.
And the normalization of it, I was like comfortable in my mess, and that was my excuse, sort of thing, because of this or because of that or whatever is why I am what happened and this and that. But then I realized that doesn't define me.
Thank you. Everybody don't come to that realization.
It took some time.
Right.
It took some time. And for every new person that's ready to actually look in the mirror and deal with it, it takes some time. And that's why I say I've been on both sides of that fence. Now I'm on this is where I have set my tent. This is it. And I'm okay with it. I'm okay with developing who I am as I go. I'm okay with I may not be who you want me to be. I'm okay with that I don't look like everybody else, and I'm okay with that. So it's okay for me. I'm good. So it's like a lot of people, that's a hard space because they're living up to expectations of someone else.
That's real good right there. Woo. And I'm going to tell you something. Here's the thing. Somebody asked the question, I was at an event and they asked the question, what did you find so hard about living your life? Because I'm actually in a good space now. But at one point in time, trying to live up to everybody's expectation. You got pastors saying you should be this way. You got mama saying you should be and you respect these people equally. Yeah. You got grandparents saying you should be this way. You got your friends saying you should be, teachers saying, so you trying to please everybody and now you don't know who the heck you are. I didn't know who Matt was. And people say, well, they meant, well, okay, intention don't always equal impact. Because you know what I
don't always equal impact.
Because I gave somebody an example. I said, just say I bought you some roses, right? And I set it right there, and I'll go to hand you the roses, but I knocked hot coffee on your leg.
Yeah.
Even though I was doing something good, you still hurt. Yeah. So that's why I tell people you have to be real cautious about. That's why I don't tell people. I give people options. I don't say, hey, you need to do this and do that. I don't give directives. You know why? Because if it don't work, then people don't. So that's one thing I realize now, and had I realized that back then I would have said, hey, I'll take what they're saying and see if it applies. Yes. But when you don't know better, you can't do better. Right. But when you do, you do.
You do. So what was the story?
So around the age of 6 or 7, and I'm gonna tell you what made me think of this story about molestation. Antwone Fisher movie came to my mind, and you remember people don't look at that. People, when you hear this, 90% of the time it's always a man to a little boy or a man to a girl, but you don't really hear people talking about women to little boys, and that is what made me thinking when you had asked me that clicked in my head, and I said, wow. But I was about 6 or 7 years old, and you know, there was a friend of the family who had a daughter that was about 15 to 16. So, you know, I was like, I was the regular 6-year-old kid, you know. She used to take me, I remember one in particular, took me in the basement. My uncle had some weight sets at my grandmother's house, took me in the basement telling me to do all this stuff. I didn't particularly know what it was then, you know, and I remember instances where she took me up in my uncle's room that was up on a, telling me to put stuff here and lick here and kiss here. I didn't know what that stuff was. I knew it was wrong because, only reason why I knew it was wrong was because we had to sneak. And she would take me in the basement, or she would take me upstairs. So I knew we shouldn't have been doing it. And I remember one particular instance, you know, we were together and my mom was sitting on the couch and I was laying on the floor and she had got down there on the floor with me. Now, you would think a 15 or 16-year-old would know that this is wrong with a 6-year-old.
Exactly.
But anyhow, and mom started singing something down under the covers, and she said, well, what's going on? And I was scared to say something because I'm thinking I was going to get a whooping.
Yes.
I knew it was wrong only because it was sneaking. I didn't particularly know what was going on. Now, I didn't make the connection to certain things that I had been through in life as far as my choice of women, which is one of the reasons why I probably had a proclivity towards older women my whole life. And it kind of set me on what people would call normal, but it's not, because it started me. It was a contributing factor, how can I say, to when I had pornography issues growing up, you know. And I remember seeing her about 14 years ago, and I'm 34, I'll be 35, so I was about 20 years old, and it's like, hey, how you doing? And I'm thinking, like, that's the only thing I can think about is what you did to me when I was 6 or 7. I'm just thinking, like, I mean, most people, when I tell other males this, and they say, oh, man, come on now. And I said, if you walk home right now and see a 15, 16-year-old fondling your 6-year-old son, what you gonna do? Exactly. Oh, man, okay then, so what is you know, so it kind of, I don't know, it made me think like, man, maybe ain't nothing wrong with this, because I guess people always put on it's not that bad, but when I saw the Antwone Fisher movie and I'm like, man, I felt like that too. I was a little angry because I'm thinking like, you know, I know this wasn't supposed to happen. But when I got older, it caused certain sexual things to develop before it was supposed to be developed. You know, and I don't have no grudges against the woman, you know, because when I saw her 14 years ago, being a 20-year-old adult, only thing I can think is like, now I know what you were doing with me. You know,
I'm a grown man now.
Right? Yeah. And it's like, you know, it would have been counterproductive to bring that up, because most people, I ain't gonna say they probably don't remember. They wouldn't want to remember.
They don't want.
They act like you would. She would probably act like I was crazy or lying.
Which is what they do. And I'm glad you brought up the fact about a woman to a male, because a lot of people seem to excuse that as being okay, and looking at it wrong if it was a male to a female.
Right.
So what I want everyone to understand is incest, molestation, and rape is any time that you are uncomfortable and that person is a family friend, a family member. Anytime that touch or that it's not. And I guess now I look at it like, man, like you're starting to see more cases of, like, I come to find out some of the guys I played football with in school will have relationships with teachers, and you know, when you get a little older, 15, 16-year-old male, but you got a 35, 40-year-old teacher, that's still not okay. Now, at the time, I will say, because I'm going through my developmental years at that time,
and I'm going off of what uncles is telling me, and other, oh man, you better get that teacher. But then I realized, man, if I saw a 35, 40-year-old woman with my young son, you going to jail.
Yes.
We're going to have a problem. But it's just often seems like it's just one of these when it's a woman.
That's why we want to change the mindset of how our communities look at what happens and what we say is okay. It's not okay. It's not okay for an older woman to have a relationship or relations with our sons or our boys, regardless if they're teachers, preachers, or family members. It doesn't matter. We have to start having this conversation. And I think one of the things is making it okay for our kids to talk, being openly able to talk about sex and talk about things, because I was raised by fear. That fear technique. You better not touch that because I said something. You know, that thing. And that just made my psyche say, oh, what I'm going to do? I'm going to touch it.
Right.
Why she getting so angry telling me not to touch it? I want to touch it. I want to see
what's going on. Sparked a little rebelliousness. Yes, that was.
So, you know, now is the time to create an atmosphere that's totally different. It's a different time for our kids. We have to create a place that they can have conversation.
But guess what though? I'm gonna tell you, it goes back to the adults need to be healed and whole, because parents try to provide something for their kids that they have not given themselves. You've got parents carrying around pain and sorrow about what happened with them, and lo and behold, just say they find out this is happening to their child. They can properly help their child deal with this because they're 40 and 50 still dealing with the same issue.
So when we originally started out with Hosanna, the name was just Hosanna. And when we went out with that name, we had people like, oh, there go another church, oh, another this, and we don't want, you know. So we backed up, rephrased, and said, okay, it's Hosanna for you. But when we hit the streets, before we could reach the children, we were dealing with the mamas and the daddies and the, you know, everything that they had to endure as youth. And when I turned around, I said, you know what? This is an area that's been neglected.
Yes, ma'am.
It's been really neglected because as we started peeling back the layers, even in my own life, I don't even want to talk about anybody else's life, but even in my own life, when I started peeling back my layers, I had to come to terms with who my mom was and what she had to deal with and what her lack and her upbringing was.
That affected you.
And how it affected me. And then I had to go back and look at who my grandmother was.
Oh, so you had to go through the family line of the tree.
I had to go through the family line to see that she only could give me what she had.
Yeah.
And even with me and my kids, I have 2 kids. I have a 30-year-old and an 19.
30-year-old what? You're only 22.
Oh man, don't make me flush. But yeah, and so it's I have to tell her, you know, when I had you, I didn't have what I have now. So I couldn't give you anymore. I couldn't make you have, and shut up, Nika. I couldn't make you have a different life at that time because I was broken and I didn't know what I was doing. But now is a different time. So she's like, okay, I get it, but it took some time for her to get it. And that's a lot of households here.
It is, and I'm going to tell you one of the things, and I also deal with this in the book, time does not heal anything. Time does not solve anyone.
Say that again.
Time does not heal anything. Time does not solve anything. Unless you confront and deal with certain things, and I had to realize this myself, and you're making connections to find out why you do this and why you say that and the way you think. If you don't make these connections and formulate a plan to overcome, you can be 90 years old and you'll go to your grave with that same pain.
Yes.
You know, and that's what I didn't want for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But again, only thing other people can do is encourage me to try to make those connections. But ultimately, I got to make the decision.
Exactly. And I tell everybody all the time that you have to live past your pain. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've chosen to do, is live past my pain. And people say, well, Angie, what's that? I mean, it was a period of time that I was sexually molested at 8 years old, and by a family member. And living past my pain is not waking up as that 8-year-old little girl every day. You mentioned about knowing who you are and everything like that. For a long time, I didn't even know what I looked like because I wouldn't look in the mirror. Okay. I was allowing people and everybody, when you say the pastor, the mama, the teacher, whoever, I was allowing what they said I was to be it. So they say, oh, you black, or oh, you fast, or oh, you this, or oh, you that, or oh, you ain't gonna be nothing, or oh, you. That was my reality. I had taken that and held on to it, and that's all I had. Okay. And I didn't have enough encouragement outside of to say, that's not true. Okay. Girl, that's not true. And when if someone showed up and said it, it was no trust. It was always this, you know, what they want, or what's happening, or this and that. Now, I don't need you to tell me nothing. I don't need you to tell me nothing.
Self-realization.
What? I don't need you to tell me nothing.
And you know one of the things, too, and it makes me think of this, how you were brought up as well. Like, if you were brought up with a victim mentality type family, and things happen to you, you're going to deal with it much different than somebody that was brought up as fighters when something happened to them. Right. And I believe that's a make or break. And see, from that issue I just shared and just multiple things that have happened over my life, I was brought up in the victim mentality family. Mm-hmm. So, but I just so happened to be that person that said, nah, I'm not living my life like this, literally. So I had to scrape and fight, because whether we like it or not, you can't get but so far past your upbringing.
Right.
You can formulate new habits and stuff and things, but that's going to be a driving force. You have to just say, hey, enough of you. I know how I was raised. I'm not going to be no victim. But it's an everyday effort and process.
And you got to be good with it.
Yes, ma'am.
You have to be good with it.
Watch your circle. That's why I say my circle's so small, it's a period. So I watch who I have around me, especially when you have to deal with stuff.
Yeah. So this is Matt Johnson.
Thank you.
Matt Johnson is an author. Now, are you a minister?
I am. I am a licensed minister as well.
Yeah.
And one of my passions is, like I shared with you one time, I'm tired of there being just one-dimensional help in church. I'm going to be that person that brings mental health awareness, that soul healing and wholeness. And like I told her, I don't know how the good Lord is going to make a way, but we're going to bring Hosanna for Youth in churches. You know, for the youth, for grown women that's sitting there coming to every church service, and me too, every prayer meeting, but guess what? They still suffer.
They hurting.
Because they hearing a good sermon, and it sounds real good, but it ain't did nothing for that 8-year-old incident, or that 10-year-old, or that 15-year-old incident. So we need to bring awareness to, especially to religious circles, not just even whether you're Muslim, any religious circles. Stuff is happening to people everywhere, and everybody that's hurt don't always look hurt.
Yes.
So that's when you have to use what they call discernment.
Yes.
And that's not just some hocus pocus spiritual stuff.
It's for real, because I was a made up mess. Oh, I was a made up mess. I walk in that church smile, and this smile is my smile. I mean, I smiled when I was crying.
Right.
You'll see me put that on my post. Even when I'm smiling, I'm still crying sometimes. It's just a natural thing. But here it is when I was going to church and I walk in, I was a made up mess. See? Heels, 6-inch, dress fitted, you know, makeup on point, carrying the latest bag, looking the nicest, you know, whatever, and walk in there and they think, oh, not in jeans. And I was like, if these people only knew, my only good time is right here. When this finished, and this music stopped, and they stopped singing, and he stopped preaching, I got to walk right back in that hellhole. Yep. And it was like, I'd rather be at the church. And I was at the church every day, all day, and that was hurting. To keep me from hurting.
Same here. And I'm gonna tell you something too. I think the whole what goes in the house, stay in the house, that should not be getting taught these days. Because I still know families teaching that, and lo and behold, it's in good spirits to say, hey, if you have money problems, hey, your friends don't need to know this stuff in school. But families have taken that overboard. And it's still happening. You know, situations still happening. And I'm going to tell you something too. My mother is a licensed minister. She's been preaching for about 35 years. And she's a lay counselor as well. So she's counseled young women, and guess what? Peep this. This is something I'm gonna bring awareness to. That have been molested and raped by their grandmothers.
Yes.
Grandmothers are some can be
Yes.
perverted, aunts,
Yes.
women of the family, and who would think that though?
Yes. And women of the family, I'm going to say women of the cloth as well.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
we on this,
Yes.
when I woke up this morning, you know, this whole spiritual thing with seeing the priests
Priests,
and all
mhm.
that, I was like, when is the black churches going to, when we going to start addressing this in the community? We need to address it.
Most black religious services too caught up on minor stuff, making the biggest building, you know, or expanding territory and acquiring jets and planes. But I'm that one. I can't speak for everybody, but I can't. You know, because it's almost like you're one. Just like when your team, you won. But if I'm a quarterback, man, I can't help that the linebacker didn't make his tackle.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I can only do my part. Each one reach one. And I can only influence who I can influence. And like Tupac said, I may not change the world, but I can bet you I'm going to spark the mind that does.
Exactly.
So I can only do my part. And I'm doing my best to play my part. And because people are hiding, but I'm that one that, hey, you ain't okay.
Yeah.
What you mean, man?
Yeah.
Nah, I ain't stupid. Come talk to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I normally never ever, you know, mention, but I need to get you. I know I said it on one of your posts. I kind of introduced you to my pastor sideways.
Okay.
I think you were looking to connect with some people, and I
Right.
came in.
Yes.
But,
I see the post. I remember.
Yeah. I need to get you to Frank Lloyd, Pastor Bishop, Buddy, Frank. I need to get you to meet.
We'll connect.
Yeah, and he just wrote his book as well.
Okay.
Can you see what I see? And I think you two are kind of on the same level.
And see me, I'm that outside the four walls church person.
Yeah.
That's why I volunteer. And see, when I do anything, it's not like I love doing the food bank, food packaging, feeding South Florida, and volunteer at different events. But my passion is people.
Yeah.
So when I'm there doing actions, it's not the actions that I care too much about. I care about the people that's going to receive the food and the people that's packaging
Yeah.
the food.
And
so I'm constantly, hey, how you doing? Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. Because something I might say may cause you to feel comfortable enough to share something with me.
And it costs that, lasting relationship.
Yes.
And when that's where I'm at. I volunteer. People say, why you volunteer all the time? I'm not. I mean, I like your cause. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But it's the people that comes through.
Yes.
Because from a hug or a touch of a hand or just a slight hello, you get to meet this person in a space that they just let you into, that they haven't allowed anybody else into. And the minute I can get you to just let me have 2 seconds, then we're on the same, maybe to get in. So I love volunteering, and I know a lot of people don't because they say they don't have time and stuff like that, but you should. You should. If you want to make a difference in the life of anybody, or you want to change the dynamics of your community,
Yes, ma'am.
look and see what's in your community that you have a problem with and find out who is the organization and how you can help.
I like that. It makes perfect sense to me. And you just never know. You can form certain connections that you've been looking for to help you get from this point to that point. It can happen through volunteering. You can meet the very person that has the key to the door that you've been trying to get into.
Exactly.
So that's another reason. And it's more blessed to give than to receive.
Yeah.
But guess what? The way God got nature set up, anytime you give out of a good heart, you're going to always receive something good back.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So I thank you all tonight.
Thank you so much.
You,
Yes,
Matt,
ma'am.
for showing
Thank
up.
you. Thank you so much for having me.
And this won't be the last time. You'll see Matt again. And Hosanna for You.
Support this organization. If you know
Support
so,
us.
it's okay to tell.
It's okay to tell. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right. Good night. Next Wednesday. See you. Bye. Okay. Let's see how fast this is. Yeah.